Hello, my friends, and welcome back. So, patience is still a virtue. Uh, Not that I'm very virtuous here, but I said, wait, wait, wait. And I was referring to war crimes committed by armies in a war, because that's how soldiers are. Under pressure, they do stuff, including the officers, the commanding officers who, hatred builds up, and you see your colleague dead, hear things from home, uh, people shoot at you, you shoot at them, you see a lot of carnage, destruction, you're terrorized, you're hungry, and so on. So I'm not defending any crimes, but I am very aware that this kind of behavior occurs in any army, in any war, because we are human. And humans are doing the same thing under the same circumstances if they're pushed far enough. So I listened to all these accusations of war crimes, brought forth against Russia, Putin, whomever was necessary. They're all war criminals and so on. Because I knew that at one point we're going to hear the other side blaming this side. And this is what I'm going to talk about in this article, that you can find this article in many, many outlets. And we find that this article is from The Hill. So I picked a appropriate, recognized, peer-reviewed um, uh, mainstream media outlet, and that's why I picked The Hill. And this is from May 10th, 2022. And this is the title. This is by Lexi Lonas. UN receiving, and it's in quotation marks, credible information about Ukrainian troops torturing Russian prisoners, official says. So UN official. So I'm doing this to counterbalance the accusations against the other ones, Bucha, Kiev, and others, that obviously crimes occurred. We have to find the perpetrators, bring them in front of, a court of law, bring the evidence, make the connections, uh, have them defend themselves, and reach a verdict, and then distribute justice. So let's see what's going on here. So we hear that Matilda Bogner, the head of the United Nations Human Rights Monitoring Mission in Ukraine, said there is, and I'm quoting, credible information regarding the mistreatment of Russian prisoners by Ukrainian troops during the war. And I'm quoting right now again. We have received credible information of torture, ill treatment, and incommunicado detention by Ukrainian armed forces of prisoners of war belonging to the Russian armed forces and affiliated armed groups, Bogner said on Tuesday. The inhumane treatment, and that's in quotation marks, is occurring among captured Ukrainian and Russian soldiers as they are being coerced to make statements, apologies, and confessions, and other forms of humiliation. If you look at my previous videos, and we had I was discussing briefly how people come in front of like the Brits that were captured, um, and they said how fantastic the Russians are and blah blah blah. I told you how someone stayed was located, didn't even have to stay behind the camera, just looking at him. And if you say something, we're gonna have another take on this, and we're gonna take care of you a little bit so you understand what we want you to say. So this violates fundamental rules of international humanitarian law. Ukraine and Russia must promptly and effectively investigate all allegations of torture and ill treatment of prisoners of war, end quote. Bogner said. They must, and I'm quoting again, they must effectively control and instruct their forces to stop and further violate and further violations from occurring. Ukraine and Russia have conducted multiple prisoner swaps throughout the war, with dozens of Ukrainians and Russians returned to their forces as a result. The comments came at a press conference that was focused on the plight of civilians in Ukraine. The presser accused Russia of multiple war crimes, including targeting civilians, raping women, and forcing civilians to leave Ukraine and go to Russia. Why would you want, for instance, to have Ukrainians go to Russia? Do you think that those guys will love you? When I hear these things that the Russians are taking civilians to Ukrainian civilians to Russia, I'm thinking first they don't go to a gulag. So let's put to the rest. It's not the 50s, okay, 1950s. So let's put that to rest. So I don't want to bring, for instance, if I'm fighting, let's say, the Zabalubu, I don't want Zabalubu citizens coming in my country if I don't like them, and I'm pretty sure they don't like me for invading their country. So but Zabalubu is not going to come in my country. I'm going to send them back to West. Go to your Zabalubu people. Don't stay with me. But doesn't make sense. And then Bogner said the UN has found at least 204 cases where overwhelming men are taken by Russian forces. Now we switch. See, the title is about Ukrainian torturing Russians, but at the end, or half of the whole article, it goes into the Russians. So yeah, they do. There's credible evidence the Ukrainians are doing this. But wait, let me tell you about the Russians, man. Okay, well, this is the first case that you hear about. The first, at least I hear about the first article where they say, wait a second, there's torture, and we're gonna find more than that. We're gonna hear about more than torture from both sides. But now we turn back, we turn towards Russia. So the best way to end the violations, I'm jumping some paragraphs here that is just for the regular reader to remain with the impression that actually, yeah, there are some Ukrainian mistreatments here of Russian prisoners, but wait, there's the Russians who you should be focused on that. I'm not going to do that to you. You do it on your own if you want, read or whatever you want, because we will hear more. I'm 100% certain we're going to hear more from both sides. This is just the first one that I'm hearing of. So the best way to end the violations that we have been documenting will be to end the hostilities. However, while they are ongoing and for as long as they last, parties must, in the conduct of operations, take constant care to spare the civilian population. Yes, civilians and civilians' objectives, and commit to protecting every civilian, woman, man, and child, and those whores the combat that fall under their control, she said. Well, so she received credible information. As I said, I know armies do this. It's just that the news do not come from the other side to this side where we are, or at least I am, pointing out that, wait a second, what are you talking about? Here are some news about this kind of stuff. And that's not good, but I know they occur because that's how war goes. I'm not defending war, obviously, but it's been portrayed that one side is just saints, nothing, just great, and the other side is only bad and evil and all that. And again, this is a fairy tale kind of mentality, is a child mentality, is, if you want, a dogmatic mentality where it's evil versus good, and things are gray. There's a lot of shades of gray between black and white, and there's a lot of other colors in between too. So people who know something about life and lived a little bit longer, or they saw certain things, or they read about certain things, they understand how a war is conducted and how the propaganda machine starts. The truth is the first victim of a war. Because why? Both sides will start talking about this and that, and maximizing, minimizing the information, making up information, and ignoring information. And here we have this case, and I will keep reporting and discussing these kind of things because I don't like hypocrisy. So I don't like when people portray stuff that I know can't be true. Why can't be true? Because it's unrealistic. It doesn't happen. And if you look deeper in any military conflagration, any attack, any war, there are incidents, more or less, on both sides. If you don't hear about them, it's not that because they are not, because they put a lead on them and you didn't hear them yet. But if you go to the country over there, for instance, you go to Vietnam, you hear about one or two massacres. But if you go to Vietnam, I'm pretty sure they will bring you more than two. But we are human. That's what it is, and things occur. And as I said, patience is a virtue. Wait, the same thing with the casualties. When I make my daily enumeration of and list of casualties provided by the Ukrainian army, I know that's an exaggeration because they have to show as many casualties from the Russian side. So, but I'm doing it so I can keep track. So after about a year or two, we're going to look back on this and say, hey, look, this guy said this then, and was it true? Maybe it was, but I personally doubt that these are accurate. Even they say they're estimates, which is to cover their behind. Well, thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, for the truth, and be just. See ya.